floor now let me open the floor to a discussion. Minister Street.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to say that we don't have to wait until we have 9 billion people in order to see the problems which we're going to have with food. Even today, we have people with starving to death. Kids are dying from starving in Africa, in Somalia, just lately. Other places in the world, billions of people don't have access to clean water and, of course, to regular food. We are far away from really saying to ourselves that we can supply today enough food for all those who need. The prices are going up of food. I don't know what's going in your countries, but the average price of food are going up all the time, make it much more difficult for people to have food. Thirdly, I think the damages that the population of the world is doing to the nature is creating a lot of difficulties for food creation in the future. For example, facts are that total population of fishes had been vanished from different parts of the seas because of different damages and exaggerating of fishing in those areas and different other things. So thirdly, the pollution in the water creates situation in the seas what phaeona, which is a very small vegetables in the sea, which creating 50% of the oxygen of the world, are in matter of fact in the sea. Because this is the only one who can take light of the sun and make out of it, and they make photosynthesis, so they exploding outside, they exhale oxygen. And because of the pollution, many of these phaeona is dying, and that create a lot of problems for fishes who live on those phaeona as a food, and therefore fishes, as I said, population of fishes have been vanished. It's one of the other example. And I think that what we have to deal with those problems, and I just say only a few of them, is really put a necessary to invest much, much more money, as the colleague from Brazil have said, in research. Not only basic research, but also research and development in all the areas of agriculture. I would like just to use the Israeli example. In 1948, during the 1950s, 20% of the people of Israel were working in agricultural. Today, we have less than 1% working in agriculture, of course, producing much, much more in quantities and export than we used to produce in the 1950s or the 60s. Because we use a lot of technologies, of science, and all kinds of different other methods in order really to improve the possibility of creating food. I think research is very important in many areas of agriculture. In genetic, said also my friend, my colleague from Brazil, is very important. Knowing this institution in Israel, Volcani Institute, I don't know who knows it, and see what they're doing, it's just miracles. For example, if we can today, and if we can today develop a kind of tomatoes which hold instead of 3 or 2 weeks on the shelf, could stay 3 or 4 months, it changed everything. It changed the possibility that you can use these tomatoes in the markets for much, much longer time and to be resistant. By genetic, you can change the resistance of different vegetables and foods and fruits to pesticides and make them much more strong without have to use all kinds of chemicals against it. They can to be much more stronger. In genetics, they develop totally new kinds of fruits and vegetables and different kinds and colors and different kinds of things which are possible. There is a lot of research done in water. Water is one of the issues which have to be dealt with very seriously. Take the deserts in the world. The deserts are fantastic everywhere. I would like to use the Egypt example. Egypt is a great country. The surface of Egypt is huge. And they have, of course, the Nile and the Aswan Lake, which is the huge quantities of water. But nobody is, in the meantime, nobody is taking the water from where it is and bringing it to this soil, which is empty of all this desert, and make it out of it agricultural. That cannot be done by private people. that cannot be done by the local farmer. It could be done just by governments. If you take every place you want in the world, take Saudi Arabia, take places which are totally desert. The fighting in deserts, it's one, in my opinion, of the future of possibility of creating food. Now, there are technologies of water, desalination of water, which already exist everywhere. But there are also more other new technologies like making water out of the air. Even without water, even in the desert, you can create water just from the air by different machinery, much more expensive today, but it exists. It's fact, it's not theory already, it's already exists. So water could be a tool in order really to double the place or the surface of the land which we can use for producing food. And it could be done if governments would put in it money, initiative, and of course research. And last but not least, I think that except the fact that you making a research and find something, it's not enough. The question is, how do you transfer that knowledge to the farmer downstairs? Today it's not happening. And I'm sorry, in many countries it's not happening at all. The new farmer, if he hears something or buys something, maybe a success. But by a process of making a logistic way how really to transfer all what you find out by science to the farmer, there is no way done in many of the countries. In Israel, we develop a system which really create automatically guidance for every farmer who work in certain area for all the new technologies of irrigation, of water, of different kinds of seeds, etc., go straight to the field. In this way, we try as well to do by an action, we called it Mashov. We called bringing to Israel every year thousands of people from different countries of the world, parts of the world, in Africa, in different places, and having them courses of 1 month or 2 months to learn to use those technologies. But it is a drop in the sea. We have to find a way how to transfer the knowledge which has been found out from the institutions and from the technology to the people in the field and give it free, because those farmers cannot buy it. They don't have the money to pay for it. They have to get it free. That's what government can really contribute to these people. This kind of cooperation between science, between governments, and between farmers maybe can change the situation. Otherwise, we'll be, in my opinion, I'm afraid, to be not very optimistic, I'm afraid that we'll find ourselves in a situation as far as the population of the world is growing up, we find ourselves in a big, big problem. Even there is some hope, very far away hope. I read the last week that they found a new star outside of our galaxy, which bigger than the Earth, have the very good climate and maybe even water. The problem is that in order to arrive there, we need, it is far 600 years of light, which means the space is unbelievable. It's far away. It is the light, how the light would pass in 600 years. As you know, the light passes in every second 300,000 kilometers in 1 second. So double it in 600 years, and then maybe when somebody will arrive over there. So there is a big far hope. But in the meantime, we have one globe, one world, one cosmos belong to all of us. And we have, in my opinion, to make cooperation, international cooperation, in dealing with those issues on the international basis and creating a better possibility of food for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. But I have two pieces of good news for you also. One is the speed of light. Now we can go beyond it. And two, I think there is phosphate on that planet also. So. Monsieur Chalmin, I saw you shaking your head, positively or negative.
Because it was fascinating listening to our Brazilian and Israeli friend. I would have loved them to come to the French Parliament on Tuesday, where we had a debate on what they call sustainable agriculture. And the debate was largely dominated by our friends from Friends of the Earth, Greenpeace, Greens, Grünen, of any kind. Unfortunately, you're in Europe, and in that old world, The good farmer is, as said Louise, the traditional small farmer. Eventually, organic farming without any phosphate. But I think it's important to see that anything that we will be able to say in this kind of conference, in next year's conference, etc., we have to take into account the fact that public opinion, especially in Europe and in the States, are more and more dominated by backward-looking people. I've been a member in France of the High Council on Biotechnologies. All GMOs are forbidden in France. And just 6 months before presidential elections, no party, be it on the right or on the left, will have any political courage to allow GMOs in France. And it's the same. Austria, by the way, Austria is a country which is also prohibiting GMOs and the rest. I would have a question, by the way, for Mr. Q. I'm not very clear about China's position on GMO, because as sometime in China you can hear something in its contrary. Are GMO developed in China? Are you going? I've heard that you were pretty in advance as far as GMOs are concerned, and on the other side, some Chinese ministers have said we don't want GMOs. So that's the first point I wanted to make. The second point, we haven't spoken of that. G20 agriculture was a success and a failure. It was a success because everybody has spoken of agriculture and on food issues. I think it was a failure as no real decision were taken as far as price instability are concerned. And what's interesting is in this conference, World Policy Conference, I haven't heard yesterday or today the word WTO. And Louis said we should get rid of, we should solve the Doha problem. Do you think really we'll be able to do it?
I will, by the way, allow the panel members to react to all this, but at the end, so you can, we can continue with the exchange. But I couldn't help hear you associate phosphate with non-organic. Phosphate is organic. Phosphate is natural. It's when you synthesize fertilizer that one can has a claim there.
Yeah, I know. But for Greens, for people looking at organic farming, they don't accept. They put phosphate as a kind of artificial fertilizer.
Too bad for them. This is
yeah.
Okay. They don't know what they're missing. Monsieur Meyer.
Yes, Mr. President. I would like to ask our Brazilian panelist whether he believes that the Brazilian pro-alcohol plan with the bioethanol still makes sense when Brazil has found so much oil in the Campos area and elsewhere.